Hey, what's up, family? It's your man, Mark Black. I'm hoping that you guys are all having a great holiday. I didn't broadcast yesterday because I knew, for some of you, it was Christmas. I wanted to give you that space, that opportunity to enjoy your family, your kinfolk, to just have a great time and to get a little bit of peace here, toward the end of the year. Um, I'll be honest. I'm not going to broadcast again until New Year's Eve. I've I'm preparing a really good broadcast for New Year's Eve because we're going to talk about what we can expect to see from Black Outcast Media, right? From your man Mark Black, and some of the things that we should be looking to expect to see moving forward into 2020. Because 2020 is not going to just be a year of talking and discussion. 2020 is going to open a lot of folks' eyes because the work continues. Today, I'm going to be available on Discord. I'm going to open up the Discord, right? So if you want to come on and chop with me about whatever we talk about during this video, I'd love to hear from you. As I said, I don't like to have one-sided conversations, but I didn't feel like that what I'm going to talk about right now warrants a special broadcast or anything like that, because I'm just going to talk about a few different things, right? Some of which are related, some of which are not, but just kind of do something I haven't done since the days of my morning Joes, which is basically just tell you guys what's on my mind, what I'm looking at, and so on and so forth. Before I get started, just remember, family, there's links in the description to resources, materials, you name it. Right? In these days and times, it's incumbent upon all of us to do the legwork, to do the research needed to understand exactly where we are, why we are, what we're doing, so on and so forth. That's your work to do. I can make resources available, and I have. So please check the description field below. Check those resources out there available to you on every video. Also, if you haven't done so, consider becoming a patron of mine via Patreon. The fact is that I would do this for you even if I got paid nothing. I did do it when I was getting paid nothing. I will continue to do it even if you pay me nothing, right? For me, it's about the service. But the reason why I think you should consider becoming a patron of mine is simply because I hope to continue to provide a voice that cuts through all the bullshit. Right? I'm an outcast and an outsider to pretty much everybody that's out there trying to operate and navigate in our space as Native Black people, as the Black descendants of United States slavery, as whatever you want to call us, right? I'm not looking to be a personality. I don't care about any of that shit. What I want to do is to inspire, educate, and to get on board any program, any opportunity for uplift and growth specifically for us and only us at this particular point. So with that said, if you think that works worthy, consider becoming a patron of mine. The first thing I want to do, fam, is I would like to do something I rarely do, or at least rarely have to do. And that is I would like to issue a mea culpa, right? I would like to say that I apologize. Some of you are familiar with a broadcast that was done yesterday, I believe, by Jason Black, where he discussed the report, what we get wrong about the racial wealth gap. He showed clearly from the report that there was verbiage contained within that report that indicated that there was wiggle room on our justice claim. Phrases like and or inclusive phrases like minorities, disproportionately benefits, African Americans and shit like that. Now, the reason why I'm issuing a mea culpa is because unlike what some people might believe, the new Black media is broad. It encompasses quite a few different people. I would like to consider myself one of those people. With that in mind, I did an entire broadcast here on this channel where I discussed that report. And I stand by everything I said in that report. I do believe still that while economics is going to play a role and should play a role in our uplift, that politics plays just as important, if not a more important role. I believe that whatever we gain with economics, if we don't find a way to keep it using politics, we're going to have a hard row to hoe. That's not what I'm apologizing for. I'm apologizing for the fact that I focus always on the data, and that information about the authors of the report, the different verbiage that was used in the report to indicate or suggest that our justice claim is only part of what needs to be done to close the racial wealth gap and so on and so forth. I didn't make that clear. First of all, my advocacy, fam, has always been us, right? You don't see Mark Black out there caping for everybody's different agendas. No, when I speak, it is in reference to and to the benefit of us specifically and primarily, like first and foremost. So for me, I didn't feel like that the information that I was conveying from the report needed the proviso that I'm speaking about this only for black folk, right? I thought for me, it's clear that if I'm talking about it, it's because I think it benefits us, or that that information is pertinent, or it obtains for us. I could give less than a damn about Latinos or Asians or white women or anybody else that claims to be a minority or disadvantaged, right? Not while my people are on the bottom. That's never going to happen. So I want to apologize for not having made that clear, because the critiques that the brother made of the report are valid critiques. Right? When you start down that primrose path of watering down a message to make it more palatable to other groups and things like that, that's a rabbit hole we've all been down, fam. We've all been down that rabbit hole that tells us that, oh, well, you know, if we want our interests heard, or if we want advocacy for our interests, we're going to have to talk about, you know, the Native Americans. We got to talk about the Latinos. No, fuck that. Nobody else ever talks about us. Nobody else gives a damn about us. So we have every right, with every source of data that's out there, to make sure that when we speak on it, we are talking about it's how it pertains to us. It's applicability to our circumstance, our situation as a unique lineage, as a unique heritage here in the United States of America. I am apologizing because I could have perhaps made more of a reference to that verbiage. I didn't think it mattered all that much, in my humble opinion, right? Truth is truth. I don't care who it comes from, where it comes from, who authors it, who interprets it. If it's true, it's true, right? But it is important always that we maintain the stance of us first, period. And the brother's not wrong when you see evidence of people trying to be inclusive. No, our power here, what power base we develop here in the United States, fam, is going to be exclusive, because power is exclusive for everyone else. When our fellow white citizens go to the polls or spend their money or make their choices, they're not thinking about how that's going to affect us. They don't care. And they don't have to. So why should we? I'm never going to apologize for advocating specifically for us. Never. But I need to always make sure that regardless of the sources of material and information, that I always emphasize what appertains to us, what belongs to us, what meat do we eat and what bones do we leave. And if there was any confusion that could be derived from my broadcast that indicates that I think otherwise on that particular report, what we get wrong about the racial wealth gap, I apologize. Simple as that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It was eating at me, fam. It was eating at me because there's some key questions that get asked. When people pivot, when they do certain things or when they say certain things, right? And questions start to be asked. Some of those questions are self-serving. I'm not going to go into it. It is up to you to use your wisdom and discernment to determine what questions that are out there that are being asked that are self-serving. But some questions, fam, beg an answer. Whenever you are considering cleaving to, working with, unifying with anybody, you have to ask yourself over time a continuing question. Is what we're doing today what I signed up for, right? It's like if you join the military, right? And then you find out that the military is only there to do X when you signed up for Y. Well, then you have some hard questions about what you have to ask is regarding your career as a soldier. You have to ask yourself, wait a minute, do I support going over here and possibly fighting and dying and killing these people for this? Right? You have to continually look at the aims, the goals, the rhetoric, the information being disseminated, and you and I, fam, have to make that determination. Is where we are now what I got on board for? That is not an invalid question. And anybody that would say, well, I'm riding till the wheels fall off, I can't fuck with you. I can't fuck with you. And that doesn't matter for whom or for what, because any thinking rational person, when the data changes, they change. So there's nothing and no one that I will ever promise to ride with until the wheels fall off, except for those people of my lineage. I can ride with you because you cannot change. You were born to who you were born to. You will always be my fellow tribes people. I ride for you because you won't change. But interpretations change, actions change, stratagems change, tactics change, and for you to continue to cleave to situations, individuals, and so on and so forth, just out of a misplaced sense of loyalty to those individuals, situations, and circumstances, in spite of what the information is saying, what their actions are saying, what they're announcing through their rhetoric and verbiage, is just simply foolish. And I don't care if that makes you feel some sort of way. That's just facts. I watched Dr. Claude Anderson's interview on The Breakfast Club. I'm not a fan of The Breakfast Club, as many of you well know. But I have adored the man for quite a few many years, right? So, in the interest of full disclosure, I heart the brother, right? I thought a lot of what he had to say was salient, right? That it was sensible. I have my own particular issues with the placement of economics and politics, and I think that that's something that is actually able to be worked out with discussion, right? I think they're both necessary, right? I think anybody at this particular point that's arguing that we should not engage in politics is damn stupid. But I also think that people who are arguing that because we're behind the eight ball in a capitalistic sense, right? That we've had our resources and capital and things like that stolen from us. We've had lack of access to capital, that somehow or another we can't work to build the economic basis needed to sustain us as best we're able until such time as a comprehensive restitution schema is put into place. I think those people are fools too. We need both, right? And so it was a pleasure to hear the brother still hale and hearty at 85 years old sit there and expound to a new generation some of the things that he's been saying for decades. He made a statement during the broadcast that I saw where he talked about Johnny come latelys. And there have been various personalities that have taken umbrage with that, right? And to those personalities, they know who they are. I simply say this: you don't get to have your cake and eat it too, right? You don't get to take the people that came before, the ones who put in the work decades ago, whether you think they were successful in their endeavors or not, is immaterial. You cannot deny what they've done, the work that they've done, right? This isn't to say that honest critique isn't warranted. Of course it is, right? Things change, situations change, peoples change, and so on and so forth, right? So honest, intellectually rigorous critique of ideas is definitely warranted. But the borderline, just flat out disrespect of those that came before is sickening. It's disgusting, to be quite honest. It truly boggles the mind to me how we can set up this dissonance, for lack of a better way to say it, between honoring our ancestors, right? Because, we stand in their shoes, so to speak, but then shit on ancestors that were not successful in doing what we think they should have been successful in doing. Like, how do you hold those two apparently contradictory ideas in your mind at the same time? I don't believe you can. You either accept that our ancestors gave their best efforts, that they put forth their best work, that you assume that they were honest actors, that they did their best work, and that what you're merely doing at this point is simply picking up the torch, picking up the baton, and running your particular race. You either accept that or you denigrate the ones that came before us. Now, if you accept, respect, honor the ancestors and the elders and the ones that came before us, there's certain things, certain behaviors that are just off code. And I don't like to use that term, but we're not stupid. Putting people's public business, or putting people's private business out there, right? In a way of trying to shame their work or to prove somehow that that their ideas are failures. Like, really? I mean, let's be honest here. Trying to ether Dr. Claude Anderson by bringing up his business's bankruptcy as evidence that his espousing of economics doesn't work was a losing proposition right from the word say go. The fact is that businesses of everybody's ethnicity, of every stripe, of every kind fail every year. Failure in business does not mean that business does not work. It simply means that that particular business may not have been successful. His particular endeavor to, operate a seafood company may have been unsuccessful. But that doesn't mean that business itself is a failure in a society where the economic engine is driven by business. That doesn't make sense. To slander the man by saying that he's been hiding assets and things like that. Look, if I had a business that went bankrupt, that went bust, Part of the reasons, and I've had multiple businesses that have been unsuccessful. Just keeping it a buck. I've never been a success as an entrepreneur. I would love to be, but I haven't been. But with that said, part of the reason why you develop structures like LLCs, corporations, S corporations, is so that you protect your own personal assets from liability. The bank that loaned Dr. Anderson the money knew what they were doing. They knew the entity they were loaning money to, and so on and so forth. If it went bust, that's the risk. That's the breaks. Thus goes capitalism, right? There's no moral failure somehow on the part of Dr. Anderson for wanting to protect his own private assets. That's why you set up a corporate entity, a legal entity to handle business on your behalf so that you don't have to worry about not being able to eat or feed your family. But if you've ever started a business, you know this. No person that has ever been an entrepreneur would ever look at another entrepreneur who was able to successfully protect his own personal resources as a moral failing. That would never even be something that comes up in conversation. If you're doing business right, you structure your business in a way so that if the business does take an L, it doesn't put you completely in the shitter. So to throw that man's personal business out there and attempt to slander him, saying he's hiding assets and stuff, was shady as fuck. It was just flat out disrespectful. So if you're willing to engage in such dishonest tactics in your critiques of somebody else, specifically if they're an elder, somebody that a lot of people respect for whatever reason, then why be shocked when that same disrespect is shown back to you? This isn't to say that I cotton to disrespect of any kind. One of the things that I'm very proud of as an angry black sheep is I'm proud as all hell that I've been able to create a community where respect is number one. First and foremost, we are going to respect each other. We're not going to shade each other, dog each other. We're going to have combat ideas. We're going to go ham at each other when we have a disagreement about our ideas, but we're going to do it in a way that is not disagreeable to each other, disrespectful to each other. I'm proud to have created that environment. And so to watch this constant denigration of individuals, this personal toxicity, for me is just, it's stupid. It's disgusting and it's stupid. There are those who think that the failure of us to arrive at our chosen destination by now signifies a failure of ideas. And what you people who think that way fail to understand is that for the most part, all throughout our history here in this country, our ideas never even get to enter the field of battle. The whole role of education, of media, has been primarily designed to ensure that our ideas never, ever make it to the mainstream. Everybody wants to treat our existence as an academic exercise. And if you're a black male, it's double worse. It's doubly worse for you. They not only don't want to analyze you, but they want to take what stories they make up about you and make that the reality of black male existence. And it's disgusting. Thus the role of people like myself, the new black media, thus our role. Our role is to get our narratives out there, to tell our stories, to speak on the issues that affect us in the ways that they affect us. By the way, I'm going to be premiering this, so I know everybody's going to be in the chat. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. I'll speak to you all individually, by the way, in the chat when I premiere the video. But fam, I just want us to be reminded that there is nothing wrong with open and honest critique. Where you have to draw the line is when that open critique becomes more than what you're building, what you're constructing, right? If what you're critiquing or who you're critiquing becomes more important than what you're doing, you're already off the rails. Like, you're already beyond the pale. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how many followers you got, right? None of that matters. If you fucked up, you're fucked up. And there's some fucked up individuals out here. I'm going to wrap this up here shortly because, like I said, I didn't want to make this a full-on broadcast. I just want to remind everybody out there, all the people that listen to the new black media, that listen to, political commentary and things like that, that anybody who is not encouraging you to learn how to think about these things, regardless of how erudite they sound, how passionate they are, so on and so forth, they don't mean well for you. I want you and I together in 2020 to keep in mind that we will only be successful as the weakest one among us. Meaning that we have to make sure to put in the effort, to do the work, to bring as many of us as we can along with us. Now, that having been said, you need to know when to fish and when to cut bait. We can't bring everybody along. This thing can't be about unity with everybody. It's not going to happen. There are some people that just want what they want, that don't want to hear any other idea that sets up discordance in their minds. They don't give a fuck about the facts, the information. Our job is to bring them to the water, not hold their head in it, hoping they drink. I'm not going to do that, and nor do I require that you do that. Instead, what we will do is what we have always done here as the Angry Black Sheep. We will continue to look at the information for ourselves. We are going to have measured, nuanced discussion, and we're going to work to develop solutions and to put those solutions in practice. Dr. Claude Anderson talked about land being the basis of all wealth in the United States. That man is not wrong. If any restitution scheme that we're looking to put into place does not include a land base, it's failed. It's a flawed plan, right from word say go. If any restitution plan that we come up with has to be inclusive of this group and that group, it's a fail right from the get-go. If it is not specifically for us, addressing us and our specific issues and our specific needs and bridging the specific gap in access to resources and capital that we have due to the accrued disadvantage that we've obtained from 400 years of oppression, slavery, Jim Crow, so on and so forth, I don't want to hear it. And neither should you. So, fam, that's all I wanted to say on these few topics. Increase the peace, as they say, but don't increase the peace at the expense of doing justice. Like, the fact is that it's unjust to slander, to malign someone's character because you have a disagreement about strategies and tactics and so on and so forth. And when that same thing happens to you, the only thing you should be doing is sitting there and taking your lumps. If you're big enough to give licks, you're big enough to take them. You don't have to send out your flock and gaggle of followers and minions and mindless drones to defend you or speak on your behalf. If your work, what you say, doesn't stand up on its own, you either can do what any rational, normal adult can do. You can either issue a mea culpa and move on, right? Go on the right way. Or you could find yourself in a place of irrelevance. So family, again, thank you for taking the time to talk with your brother today, or to listen to me. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk on the Discord after the broadcast. I want to thank everybody in the chat, because there will be the chat, and I will be conversing during the play out of this video with you, right? Enjoy your holidays. Regather yourself. Settle yourself. Center yourself. Get your energies right. Because in 2020, we got work to do. We're going to talk more about it on New Year's Eve. So until then, fam, I wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.